Okay, in addition, contributing absolutely nothing to society as a podcaster, I'm also a stand-up. On October 4th, I will be at the Kookaburra Lounge in Hollywood. And then on the 8th, I will be at the Hollywood Improv at the Lab for the Behind the Lines show. All tickets and information can be found on my Instagram at Jessie Zand. And I hope to see you guys out there.
I love the improv.
I know. I'm so excited. Shout out to the improv. It's Keida's show, our producer. We recorded last week without him, and I was like, I looked at the girls and I was like, we are never doing this again. Never.
You were editing in the car.
Yeah.
The entire drive back.
I was editing in the car. So to the one person who said they want to stop hearing me talk on YouTube, this shit would not come out without me. So eat a dick.
It's true.
That's an X. That was just a plain old hate. That person has no.
You can hate on me all you want. It is part of my brand. I really don't give a shit what people think about me. I go up on stage and talk about my mom's pussy. I have no shame. I don't care. I get to do fun shit with my friends. So
it's true.
If you don't like it,
I'm absolutely.
eat my clit.
I'm absolutely felled by even the smallest bit of criticism. So I cannot relate. If I receive even one hater, I spontaneously combust and make it everyone's problem.
That's been the gift though of stand-up, because like when you bomb, you have to get that feedback in real time. And it's kind of made me, I mean, it's still, I mean, I'm not going to act like I'm impervious to any sort of criticism, because I'm not, but
yeah, you're like daring people right now. It's like a dare.
Get in those comments and shit on me. No.
Don't do it to me because I can't take it.
I actually can. I love haters. Except for my mom.
Haters.
She's the one person, the one hater I can't deal with.
What did you say yesterday? Your biggest hater is
under your own roof.
Oh, yeah.
That's such an iconic line. Your biggest hater is under your own roof. Yes.
Yeah. If you guys want merch, please comment.
We don't care if they want it. We're giving it to them.
Yeah, what? Don't ask them that question.
We're going to force it down their throats and they're going to drink it all up.
Yeah.
They're going to love our merch.
That's what this is about. You think people ask for podcasts?
That's
Nobody
true. No one asks for
podcasts.
This. No one asks for
podcasts are shoved down the public's throat until finally they go, okay, fine.
We love you.
I guess I have a long drive today.
I hope that's how it happens with us. They're like, fuck, I have a long drive.
I can't listen to
Night
Sabrina
school.
Carpenter's album again. I'll just listen to this, I guess.
That one feels personal. Or were you? That one feels a bit personal on it. Is there something you'd like to share about how I literally played that album back to back for the entire weekend with no stops?
No.
I mean,
no. Okay, if it was my weekend, it would have been just the song Dreams by Fleetwood Mac on loop the entire weekend.
No Silver Springs.
Oh, actually, sorry, Silver Spring. That's my favorite Fleetwood Mac song of all time. So and that video, everybody knows the video.
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows
Insert
the video.
The clip.
And the iconicness of forcing your ex to sing this song about the way he wounded you while you're and she's singing and she's staring into his eyes. I will follow you down till the sound of my voice will haunt you. And he's like looking and he's like, like you just
broke
feel
him.
it.
That truly, I think that moment may have broke Lindsay.
It's so amazing. I listened to that song so many times going through my last breakup. I was just like, I felt it so deeply, so personally, so spiritually.
I have that dream one day for stand-up, to have like a killer bit and to do it in front of someone who's done me dirty.
Yeah. I think it's every woman's dream.
Yeah.
Every woman's dream is to create a piece of art that makes a man crumble.
My eyes are lighting up right now. I can feel it.
I know. I just saw the surge behind your eyes.
I just got really so excited. Yeah. Sorry. What medium shall I choose? I actually need a man to like be mad at more right now. I feel like that brings more creativity.
I'm always mad at men.
You are.
I'm always mad at men.
You're mad when you're not mad at men too. I feel like you're like, why don't I?
Yeah, I am the most. Sophia said this to me the other day. Jessie's worst fear in life is to have a crush. Like, most women feed off crush power, but it is truly my waking nightmare to have a crush, because it brings me to a place of such darkness. And
I feel like I've seen this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very uncomfortable with having a crush.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate because somebody else has control of my feelings, and then I'm not in control, and that is my biggest fear is when I am not in control.
I understand that.
Yeah, very well.
I'm also a control freak. I understand, but for whatever reason, I feel like you, Izzie, and I both. We love a good maladaptive daydream.
Oh my God.
I love getting lost in someone who doesn't care about me. I love imagining my life with someone who's just like passed me on the street and doesn't even remember my name.
Oh, doesn't remember.
And then
that's
being
the cherry
like,
on top.
crushed.
You don't know me.
Yeah, you don't know me. You don't care about me.
You don't care
at
about
all.
me.
You go, wait, what was your name
I'm in
again?
love with you.
I love you. I've built us a house in The Sims, and I love you.
Speaking of Sims, I had this. Did you see Margot Robbie is set to produce the latest? I want your thoughts as an avid Sims player. I need to know.
Okay, let me think about this. How do I put this?
And writer
on
The Sims.
Yeah. I love The Sims. I play The Sims 2 because I don't like learning new things. So I tried to play The Sims 3, Sims 4 a couple times. And at heart, I'm kind of like boomer minded where I'm like, I don't understand this. It upsets me. So I didn't like the way the graphics looked. They were a little too rounded and I missed the old graphics. So I have a burner computer with all the mods and it's like, it moves like, but I play The Sims 2 on it like all the time.
When did The Sims 2 come out, just for reference?
Oh my God.
Well, that was like when we were probably 12, 13, because Sims 2 was the most important one to me.
Did you play Sims 1? Like the original?
I think I had it, but it wasn't.
Sims with that. If I could play the original Sims,
that was your favorite?
That was my favorite because it was so
simple.
It was also like so raw and like I don't know. It was so like it was very adult. Like there was a very adult quality to it. I feel like with the next generation Sims 2, they really wanted it to be like this is a world building game. It's not just so like teens can make like little things fuck, you know. They tried to make it a little bit more sophisticated.
Woohoo, you mean? What are you talking about?
Yeah. And there was making magic. Like there was this whole, it was like a very witchy kind of spooky one. It was fantastic. But I'm interested to see what will happen with this because I'm curious because I saw the Barbie movie. Didn't care for it, to be perfectly honest.
Hey, vintage lovers, if you're looking for one-of-a-kind, curated designer pieces that scream style and sophistication, then look no further than Funny Girl Vintage, your go-to destination for curated designer vintage finds that'll have you looking and feeling fabulous. At Funny Girl Vintage, they don't just find great pieces, they curate them with an eye for detail and a passion for unique designer finds. From iconic designer labels to timeless classics, their collection is like a treasure trove of vintage glam. Check out their website, funnygirlvintage.com, or stop by their showroom on Melrose Avenue to get one-on-one style consultation. And guess what? A special treat for our podcast listeners, you can get 10% off your first order using the code NIGHT. That's right, just use the code NIGHT at checkout and enjoy a sickening discount on your first purchase. And we thank Funny Girl Vintage for sponsoring this episode.
As I said last time, Izzie and I love men. I think I don't know. I could honestly talk about that for so long, but I've moved personally past the cultural moment of like loathing men and moved more into I think like
speak for yourself,
wanting to I don't know like be loving towards men in a way to motivate them from whatever kind of toxic.
To be better.
Yeah, because I just feel like that I'm personally a bit tired of the culture of like berating men into do better kind of culture. In general, I'm kind of over do better culture. I think if you have the time and the energy.
Looking at the fear in their eyes, I have to say. There's something I getting really high off that. I'm not gonna lie. There's something about a white guy in a public place who's like dancing around being canceled that just makes me so high. I can't even put into words. Like the fact that men are now. Hi, Keida. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, Keida. There are times where I see you dancing around being canceled, and I know. For reference, I love Keida. Like Keida is our big brother.
You know what? You're backtracking.
Keida both loves us and hates us.
That's the beauty of it.
But Keida's a rare exception though. But there are, and I think also too. It's younger guys that I get the most kick out of it because like Keida's coming from a good place, but the other guys they're just like, hey, I don't want to like. What are you gonna me too me? And it's like, I mean, yeah, if you grope somebody by the pussy, like, yeah, I hope you get me too. Like, it's that.
I'm not anti that. Just to be totally clear, I'm not. I'm not one of those women.
That's a pick me role.
I'm not Gina Gershon and Blink Twice, but not Gina Davis, not Gina Gershon, Gina Davis. For anyone that saw Blink Twice, I love that movie actually. But I think what is for me, maybe it's the cult leader in me that loves. I would like when I see someone who's downtrodden and has sort of like reached the end of their rope. I'm like, here, give me your hand.
Yeah,
let me show you a better way. And that's kind of how I feel about like a lot of men now. I was recently accused of having a savior complex. Maybe that's part of it. But I think my concern with The Sims is what the story will be.
Yeah.
If it's, I hope it's not another, what I would hope, honestly, is that I hope it's something about the people that play The Sims. I mean, I feel like it's primarily girls that play The Sims, like women and girls that play The Sims. I think I wrote a piece about The Sims. Like I wrote an essay about The Sims, about how it's like it can be this tool to work out, your darker urges when you're in a dark place. It was a work of fiction, but I hope it's something like that. Like it speaks more to the state of mind of a young, to the player. But I'm assuming it's not. I'm assuming it will be about like it'll be about a bunch of young people in the world of The Sims who are in like a polycule or something. And it'll be about how everybody hates monogamy, and I'll be like, all right, well.
There are rare exceptions that I feel like, and I don't want to get us too derailed, but there are rare exceptions where I think open relationships and like polyamory work. Like I know I have one person in my life that has told me their story, and I understand why specifically in their life that makes sense for them. But it's so rare that it actually makes any sense and is good for both parties. The polyamory, the polycule, the whatever the fuck, where everybody just wants to fuck each other. Like, just say you want to be single. Let's just call it what it is. Like,
you know what? I don't believe in it for myself or for most people. But this kid I went to high school with, I saw him at a reunion, and he's in he seems really happy in his polycule. They're all on OnlyFans. One of them is the mother of his child, but she's also dating one of the other girls who he's also dating. It's almost like
this is geometry.
It's math. It's fully math. And I just feel like my place in there was just to listen. I was like, tell me everything.
Yeah.
Tell me all.
The ally to the polycule.
I don't support polycules for me ever.
You know what? It is not my turn to speak. I'm just going to listen.
Yeah, that's exactly
truly the ally of the polycule.
I just
don't like the idea of sex and romance being put on like a chore wheel. Like the idea that you're in a relationship with a bunch of people where it's like on Thursday, Spoon and Dish Rag are going on a date, and then on Saturday,
that's a brilliant
William
way to put it.
And Sheet are going on a picnic, and what's Fork gonna do?
Everyone's a household item.
Yeah. I think that's the thing for me that that is so strange. Because here's the thing: is I was a teenage girl dreaming of
polycules.
No, just like I saw The Dreamers when I was a teenager.
Yeah, no, that's different. That's different.
I think maybe what part of it is maybe it needs to be more unspoken. Like maybe people just need to be in these dynamics where it's just fluid and y tu mama tambien, like that kind of where you're not talking about it.
No, it's just
you're all
kind
having
of like,
sex, but nobody's talking about
there's
it.
no like organization and structure to
it's just one night you have some wine and someone's dancing and then they go in the other room and then the next day you pretend like nothing happened. I think maybe that's what it needs to be.
So like
go back
talk.
To not talking
like
about
mom
things
talk before it all exploded. That was perfect. It seemed perfect.
Yeah. I know Taylor really blew that up because it didn't need to be spoken about. That was the beauty of it. I think maybe polyamory works if you don't talk about it. Maybe that's what. Don't ask. Don't ask. Don't tell.
Yeah,
it's just cheating.
It's just cheating.
It's just cheating.
Let me tell you, it would work a lot better for me if they stopped talking about it. I'd be so much more on board if they shut the fuck up about it.
But honestly,
because I don't care what they do.
In practice, I say that, but also like there's truly no piece of gossip I enjoy more than when it's like, did you hear about so and so's polycule, and they live in a duplex out in the valley, and I'm like, tell me more. I need to know about
their
this.
intuitive community or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like learning about a different culture that you have absolutely no hand in. At least for me, I'm kind of just like flabbergasted. I feel like an old world woman, you know?
And that's why you listen, because you're an ally.
Yeah,
that's true.
I'm an ally.
This was a question that I wanted to pose to you guys. What qualities do you see in yourself that mirror a quality or trait of your parent?
Oh my God. Jesse. Okay, so I'm literally in school now. We're literally I'm in a classroom, and we have to give book reports. Right now.
You have to give book reports. Yeah, we're taking on.
Can I cheat off of yours?
All right, fine. I'll go fucking first.
Yeah, you go first.
I've been doing a lot of like work on myself in terms of seeing how my patterns have evolved from my parents, and now that I live at home, I see a lot more of those patterns, particularly in the parent that I had the most conflict with in high school, which was my dad. And that's obviously because we're so alike. I see this quality in my dad. I think one is a rigidity of thinking in a way that I've really tried to kind of leave behind. But I do see myself, if I get fixated on something, or if somebody does me wrong, or it takes a lot for me to hold a grudge. I really don't believe in grudges or regrets, because I think that those are the two things that when you leave this world mean nothing. And why not just spread love and light, which is hilarious coming from a comic, but it's the truth. But I do feel like there are certain situations and people and takes or opinions that I'm so rigid in the way that I think. And it's definitely something that I got from my dad. And then from my mom, there's this sense of like belief in myself. My mom is an icon. I have to do a quick shout out to my mom. I know that I talk so much shit about her in my act, but it comes from a place of love. So my mom left home at 15 to go dance on Broadway. She got a scholarship to Joffrey Ballet School, and at 16 auditioned for Bob Fosse. She snuck in, made it to the final round of the auditions, and he looked her up and down with a cigarette in his mouth, and he goes, it was just her and another girl on stage, and he goes, "What the fuck are you doing in my theater?" And she's like, "Well, I'm Terry Treese, and I wanted to audition for my 16th birthday." And he was like, "Get the fuck out of my theater." And he called her on a payphone later that night, and he goes, "Look, you're great, but I can't hire you until you're 18. Go finish at Joffrey, get your high school diploma, and come back and audition for me." And she did. And she ended up dancing in 8 Broadway shows. She was in the original cast of Working. She was in Pippin. She was in Dancin'.
Wow.
She's a fucking icon. So she's had this like sheer belief in herself where it's like, if I work hard enough and I'm disciplined enough, I will achieve my goals.
And she came from Kansas.
She came from Kansas.
Truly
nothing. She saved up enough babysitting money when she was 15 to go out to New York at 16 to go to Joffrey. She ended up coming back, I think, when she was 17 to take her junior and senior year together so she could graduate early and go on Broadway, and she did. That belief in herself is something that I definitely have. Like that just sheer, like, I don't give a fuck what happens. I will put my head down and I will accomplish my goals. Come hell or high water, watch me do it. That's a quality that I have from her that I so know inherently is from her. On the flip side of it too, she was married twice before my dad, and I definitely have like mirrored a lot of relationship traits from that. I always say like I was in a civil union with my ex, and we had to like get divorced. It had to like be dissolved. So I'm like, I have one more marriage until I find my soulmate if I'm on mommy's track. So there's like, I definitely see those comparisons and stuff with them. But it was an interesting like come to Jesus moment I had while I was streaming on the polo field at Bighorn, that I was like, I wonder what the girls' perspectives are of how they see themselves in their parents and vice versa.
I see a lot of my mom in me. I think it's kind of the opposite of what you were talking about, where it's my mom has always been like too humble about her art. She's better at gassing other people up than herself, which is crazy because she was, yeah.
That's so you.
That's so me. Yeah. It's crazy that I'm even admitting that because I'm very.
I roast you about this all the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's me being loving towards you, but I roast you about this all the time.
I think yeah, with my mom, we're very much mirrors to each other.
But you've been grinding on night school. I mean, give it up for Izzie and the TikTok. Like
I've been a content creator.
She has been fucking grinding it out. I was jokingly telling her I'm putting her through the Harvard Business School of Content Creation because
It is.
But you've been doing it. I mean, you have a natural gift and
for social media, for clips.
You're such a good writer. Like you are a writer. You write screenplays. Like that is your gift.
Basically, like making a movie. Yeah. Like if you want to give me $10 million to make a movie, anyone who's listening, I will apply the same work ethic
that you do to our TikTok.
I have with the clips.
Yeah,
that I have with the clips. You know, clips. A movie's just a bunch of clips.
It's true.
It's absolutely, you know.
It's so true. It really is.
That's going in your compilation reel of iconic that you're gonna edit. Yeah. Okay, but what about you? What's a quality that you see?
Oh God, there's
besides the audience.
So many. I mean, starting with my mom, I railed against our similarities, I think, for a very long time, just out of desire to individuate. I think I didn't really want to be I went to a Waldorf school, and
same.
when as you did as well, and when I was in Waldorf, everyone around me was kind of like holistic and kooky and thought outside the box. And then when I went to public school, the desire to assimilate and blend in and everything. So I went through that period of wanting to just be like everyone else. For example, when I was in high school and I was going through having a very depressive period, I really wanted to be on medication really, really badly. And my mom is very anti-medication, and we fought about it all the time. And she was always sort of like, you need to go out into nature and experience life and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, diminishing my, experience and whatever.
Your mom gave you the touch grass.
She did. But the funny thing is that, I finally got my way and I went on medication for a couple years. And right before COVID, this sounds really funny, but I had a dream where the world was coming to an end, and it was a dystopian world where I felt like I was being controlled by being on medication, like the anxiety of being beholden to something where if the apocalypse happened and I would have this thing that I would need outside of myself in order to function. And it motivated me to go off of it cold turkey right before COVID.
Jesus.
So did I prophesize COVID? Maybe. Maybe not. I'll let you decide. But and then when I went off of my medication, I feel like my philosophy of life started to shift more towards my mom. And now I think I'm better than my mom at keeping it to myself when reading the room. Like, not everyone wants to hear that. I think when listening to somebody talk about their experience with pharmaceuticals or whatever, I'm a bit better than with that than she is, in terms of learning when to not say, like, you just need to go swim in a river. You just need to go for a walk. You just need to do yoga. I mean, you just need a different
feel
diet.
Her. Like, I do need to go swim in a river. That's good advice.
But I completely
totally.
My perspective has completely shifted towards all the things that she used to preach when I was growing up about life and wellness and all these things. It's not for everyone, but for me, it works for me. But I think that what I do have from her is this need to experience things for myself in order to understand them. It's very difficult for me to be told something and just accept it.
Yeah.
I will not accept something that someone tells me. I have to try it for myself. And sometimes I think this is a good thing, because I can have a very strong, clear sense of self and not easily be swayed by other people's opinions. But sometimes I've also had to make mistakes in order to, don't touch the hot thing. I'm going to touch the hot thing. I touch the hot thing and I get burned. Totally. I've done that many times out of a need to experience things for myself. So I do think I get that from my mom. But more and more, as much as I rail against a lot of her philosophy, I've become exactly like her in so many ways. And now in terms of health and wellness and everything. I do truly whatever she tells me. I go over to her house and she hands me just an assortment of supplements and puts me on machines.
Do you feel like that's now given you guys a closer relationship? Because I know you've talked about before being like, simmer down, mom.
Yeah.
But do you feel like now that your ideology has shifted closer to her, it's made you guys closer, I would think?
It definitely has. Not railing against her, the sort of mother knows best. Like I just railed against that on principle, I think, for so long. I think I always had some intuitive knowing that I was supposed to stay close to the mothership and in terms of thinking. Like everything about how I was raised made me a holistic, perennium sunning, raw milk drinking, red meat eater at the end of the day. But not that I do any of those things except for eat red meat. I don't sun my perennial yet. But
she hasn't read enough about it yet.
I haven't read enough about it yet. Once I experience it, maybe it'll be the next thing. But
She's
I have to experience it for myself.
Yeah.
But I think it has brought us closer in some ways. But then what I get from my dad is a very intense stubbornness. In some ways, I'm exactly like my dad in this way. In other ways, I think it's my rebellion against my dad. I've become sort of, my dad is he really taught me how to debate. When I was a kid, I remember I had a tantrum or something when I was a kid. I'll never forget. My dad said, "Don't whine, negotiate." And I never stopped negotiating.
You were
after
like
that.
4 and you're like,
I never
negotiate.
Stopped. But my parents instilled this idea in me. Like if I was like, I really want this piece of candy, and they'd be like, argue your case. And I'd be like, well, okay, well, I ate all my vegetables earlier and and I didn't have candy yesterday or whatever. And then they'd be like, all right, you got the candy. Like they would always give it to me. So I am a debater. I like to debate. I like a discourse. And I think I get that from my dad of like this desire to really push through an argument. And it's funny because sometimes my dad and I really clash now because I think in some ways I've also just become, I don't want to say like kind of terminally diplomatic in some ways. Some would call it a contrarian. It's not that it's, but I don't really think it's contrarianism. I think it's actually, I have a desire to just bring everyone around to a more even point. Like if someone leans too far this way, it's like, may I show you this way?
Like an even discourse.
Exactly.
And that's a natural thing. I think for some people actually hate that and want everyone to be divided. But I agree with you and I can see.
I used to be one of those people that wanted to be divided. I used to be one of those people that's like, you must pick a lane one way or the other.
Black and white thinking.
Black and white thinking. And I think I got that from my dad. So I think in some ways I am exactly like my parents, but I've used the tools that they gave me to sort of rebel against their ways of being, in a sense. So in a way I'm just like them, but I've become their worst nightmare because I use the language that they gave me to rebel against them in a way that makes them cuckoo bananas. I'll be lecturing my mom about guar gum, and she's like, "Oh, come on!" And I'm like, "You made me this way.
Yeah,
you have made me read every label, every ingredient. Now I'm going to do the same to you. Mm-hmm. You're poisoning yourself with guar gum, Mom. Pay attention.
Reverse Uno.
Yeah, exactly.
Reverse Uno on your mom.
Okay. I want to transition to schoolies. Thank you guys so much for submitting your guys' advice questions. I have been literally frothing at the mouth over them. Thank you guys so much for submitting. It was awesome. So please continue. Keep submitting. Okay, if this is night school, come up with a course title for what you would teach.
Oh. Off-grid 101.
Explain.
It would be a class on all the ways that you as an individual can prepare for societal collapse or government overreach, a grid shutdown. And it would be called Off-Grid 101. And it would be a course where we would bring in people to help us, grow our own food, medicine, what plants and herbs can treat various ailments, studying the Constitution. It would just be sort of overall, I guess, a prepper's guide to the end of the world. That's a fun course title, A Prepper's Guide to the End of the World.
Okay, mine would be how to exploit your trauma for clicks.
So it's like a social media class.
It would be a social media class, and then also how to write bits about the most horrendous things that have ever happened in your life. And then there'd be some sort of like mushroom pillage that would be pilgrimage that would be involved, where I would help you radically accept all of the horrendous things that have happened in your life and give you the courage to get up in front of strangers and laugh about it.
That's a good one.
What about yours?
I think I would teach a math class, but then the kids would arrive and I'd be like, just fucking kidding. This is drama and we're just learning.
That's actually
And I ace everyone at math as long as you participate, and I'm going to teach them, you know, commedia dell'arte. Like we're going to be
your
using
class
masks.
is on lying.
Yeah.
Yes, pretty much. I should just teach a law school class at this point. I'd be a great lawyer. I've been told this by multiple lawyers.
You would.
That is not a lie.
Yeah,
that
you
is
would
the
be
truth.
great.
Yeah, one of my mom's friends who I believe went to Harvard Law. I stayed in the car when we were all on vacation to argue with Delta Airlines for an hour. I was like 16. I had no business arguing on the phone. And she comes back to the car. She's like, you should really think about being a lawyer. Nope. Too much work. So I'll just teach a class that basically is
Lies.
like lies.
Lies. You're
Lies 101.
Lies 101.
Acting. It's acting. I could make some incredible actors. I think I'd be a really good drama teacher, honestly.
Yeah, 100% would
I'd
be.
push them.
You really would. I think you would. And I think you'd make them believe in themselves in a way that they, because you do have that gift.
You're very good at that.
Well, when I believe in someone, that's not a lie. That's truth. Like I can't pretend I can't pretend to believe in something that I don't very easily.
Yeah.
But when I do, I like find that, and I
think you could pretend to believe it to their face. Like you could act
yeah,
but you wouldn't actually.
It's true. I
throw
could truly pretend anything.
Yeah.
But
I think you're like me. I feel like we share this where like no matter how we feel about something or someone, we'll always kind of give them their flowers. Like if there's something that we believe in, we'll just be like, honestly,
yeah,
true.
Like
not being so attached to
the outcome.
Just being like, yeah, you can't lie. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Credit where it's due.
That was a good question.
Really good question.
Anonymous person.
So we have
Send
another
us
one.
more.
My roommate's boyfriend creeps me out to the point of wanting me to move out. My name is on the lease. What do I do?
Oof.
I think you should
kick her out. Like, sorry,
I think you should have a conversation with your roommate and let her know why you're feeling this way. And I know the initial reaction, particularly as women, like I could see myself as your roommate being like, oh, are you flirting with him? Like we all have that innate, I think, jealousy sometimes within us. But I think you just have to have a really honest conversation with your roommate alone, make sure he's not there, do it at the right time, and give concrete examples too. Don't just say, like, you need some concrete examples as to why he's creeping you out. Like, is it comments? Is it, is it behavior? Like, figure out what you want also out of the discussion. Because, the reality is he's probably still going to come over. So is it you don't want him over when you're there alone? Or, if he's coming over, you want a heads up and a warning. Like if your name's on the lease, unfortunately, like you may have to stick it out. But I do think that there are ways that you can create boundaries around him in your space. But definitely have a conversation with your roommate because she needs to understand that this is affecting your living situation. And that's not fair to you either. And if she ends up being defensive about that, there's probably some deeper stuff going on within their relationship that they're not addressing. So have some grace about that, but be confident in the fact that your feelings are valid and you are allowed to set boundaries around people in your living space.
Yeah. That's the direct approach. But might I offer something else? What if you get, just humor me, you get an even creepier boyfriend. And you start bringing him around and he is leering at your roommate and he's walking around in his underwear and he's making like very inappropriate comments all the time. He makes jokes about like, wouldn't it be crazy if we all just like, what if we all got drunk and had group sex? That'd be so crazy. Like he says things like that and he starts making her really uncomfortable. and you just push him, and you don't have to sleep with this guy. You can just hire him. This is gonna be a man for hire. I'll get in drag and I'll do it.
Or find a gay best friend to do it.
For a price.
Yeah.
And then at some point it will get so bad that your roommate will come to you and she'll say, this guy, your boyfriend, he's really creeping me out. And you'll be like, that's crazy that you're bringing this up because I feel the same way about your boyfriend. And then you'll be like, if you feel uncomfortable with my boyfriend, I'll break up with him if you break up with your boyfriend. And she'll be like, you know what, you're right. That's clearly the only solution because I don't want to be around your creepy boyfriend. He's far creepier than my creepy boyfriend. And then you'll both break up with your boyfriends and then you can go back to living in beautiful, harmonious, platonic roommate-dom for the rest of your lives.
Beautiful.
Our first and last advice segment.
So you have some choices.
Love, though, in this scenario, though, the boyfriend for hire that she gets is so vastly worse than what the initial cause of this was. He
has to be so bad that the roommate can't ignore it.
Yeah.
It has to be so bad that she's the one that brings it up so that you can be like,
and to get her to make that impact on someone who has a already creepy boyfriend, you are going to have to step it up.
You're going to have to up the ante. Can you imagine though the boyfriend for hire, a roommate flicks on the lights and he's just staring in the bathroom, waiting for her to come in.
That's exactly the kind of
I want to watch you shower.
That's exactly the kind of thing that I would employ him. Maybe this will be a service that I'll create. Like a Beetlejuice type thing, but for getting out unwanted men by bringing in someone who's even more unwanted.
Yep.
And then by also completely making the initial complaint null and void because you've now made the living situation so toxic.
Yes.
Well, then you have to just clear it all out.
You have to be aware that there might come, maybe the friend brings it up and is like, he's really creepy. And you say, that's funny. Your boyfriend is also creepy. And she says, nowhere near as creepy. But then there's another sort of safety clause in this, which is that you can say, well, regardless, if you don't break up with him, then my boyfriend's staying here forever.
Your name is on the lease.
Yeah. And I'm putting him on the lease.
Power play.
So
I like it.
It's a power play. And then I think at that point, she might resent you for a little while because you ended her relationship by force. But at the end of the day, you don't have to live with her creepy boyfriend.
Yeah.
And in the event that the creepy boyfriend you hired won't leave, that's a whole other thing. And we can talk about that next week.
If the creepy boyfriend you hired doesn't leave, submit another question.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, out of the three of you, who would make the worst cop? Izzie.
Yeah.
Honestly,
nobody thinks I should.
I guess there's different reasons why.
I'd definitely take it too far.
I get scared really easily. So to be perfectly honest, I think I would be embroiled in a lot of police brutality issues because I am so easily frightened.
Yeah.
I'd just be shooting everybody. Someone walks up to me on the street and accidentally spooks me. Also, I have horrible intrusive thoughts. The one time I went to a shooting range, it was unbelievable. Shoot that guy, shoot that guy, shoot that guy, shoot that guy, shoot yourself, shoot that guy, shoot that guy.
That's my fear about going to a shooting range.
Oh my God.
I have too many intrusive thoughts.
I cannot have a weapon. I cannot have a weapon.
Yeah, there's no way.
So between and then you would be really good actually. I feel like you would take on because I feel like whatever you do with a sense of purpose and a sense of duty. So I think if you actually went through training and everything, I think you'd be a fantastic cop. Izzie would be extremely light on crime.
Yeah.
And probably take bribes. I feel like you would do something like that.
I'd be a corrupt
You'd be
cop.
a dirty cop.
A really dirty cop.
Well,
You'd be
as
a
we
crooked
said,
cop.
you working at the rehab, you're like, I don't care if you have a phone. I don't care if you have drugs. You as a cop would be like, I don't care if you're armed. Just don't shoot me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why am I'm not here to get you in trouble. Even if it's my
that would
job.
Be me. I'm just I'm constantly, my mugshot is everywhere all the time. Another police brutality incident. Another one. Alana. And I'm like, I know.
They keep hiring you back.
He scared me. He spooked me. My bad.
This is a scary dark room.
I mean, at the end of the
shot
day,
into the dark.
It's the police force. They protect their own.
Yeah.
I'll be brought in. They will continue to let me stay.
This is another one. I rarely make it to a second date and have no idea what I'm doing wrong. Any tips?
Okay, we have no context.
Okay, I rarely make it to a second date. So you go on the first date and the second date doesn't happen.
You don't get asked.
You don't get asked to a second date. I wonder what it is you're asking on that first date. Are you getting a bit too serious on the first date? Because I think that's I've definitely done that in the past where I've started to ask
what do you want?
What do you want?
Well, that's a valid question for a first date, but it snowballs into like, do you want kids? Do you want
marriage?
You don't need to know these things on the first date. I get wanting to, because you are like, I don't want to waste my time. But if you look at it more like, you know what, this could be a friend, this could be a foe. Let's just go into this with some fun. but we also don't know. This person could also not care very much. And they could be going into these dates and being like, you know what, you're one of a million. I swiped right on,
And also, are you interested in going on a second date? Like that's the other thing too. I think you have to think about when you're dating. Like it's not really about whether they like me. It's if I like them. Like that's what you should really be trying to figure out on these first dates is, are they giving you that spark? Is there that witty banter? Like, do they like the same things as you? I think another thing that we often forget, and it's something that I definitely forget in this culture of like dating app, I actually want to find somebody that I have common activities with. I would set up like an activity date. So I would play tennis. Like I was a competitive tennis player for 10 years. I'm pretty good. So it's also so fun to emasculate the fuck out of a guy on a first date.
I cannot relate.
Yeah, me either.
Oh my God, it's so fun. I just love laying my big dick on the table.
Carry me over the threshold and save me from a dragon.
Save me. I'm a little innocent, weak, helpless little maiden.
And maybe that's the problem, because I end up carrying the man over the threshold because I keep dating these like twinks regardless.
So do I, but in a different way.
You're like, carry me.
And the twink's like,
and they just drop
I'm
you.
so skinny.
I'm so little.
I'm so little.
I'm just a girl.
We're both fighting to have that like feminine.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is, find common things that you enjoy doing with the person, and especially on a first date, like, and see if you enjoy their company. Like, I think I would ask yourself, like, are you not getting to a second date and you're bummed because you're not, like, they aren't giving you interest, and are you really interested?
That's a really important piece, because there have been so many times where I didn't get asked on a second date, and it became like almost like the ego trip of it.
Right.
And then I would think about it in retrospect and be like, oh, I didn't really like you either.
No.
I mean, but
validation.
Also I, in retrospect, can also identify why I wasn't asked on a second date. For example, I had a sort of impromptu date with a guy one time where I wouldn't stop talking about how I think Rick Caruso did an amazing job with the Grove and the Glendale Galleria, and who knows what he could do for the city of Los Angeles. And he didn't want to go out with me again. And I wasn't sure at the time why that was. And then I remembered that I had a glass of wine and quite literally talked about Rick Caruso the entire time.
You should have been on a date with Rick Caruso at that point.
Rick Caruso became like a tick.
It did almost. But then I could see it in his eyes, and it was I couldn't let it go. And it became that thing where I was like, I don't want you to misunderstand me, so I have to keep explaining.
Yeah.
So I just kept talking, and I was like, I understand I don't think he's a great guy. I've heard stories about him, but you have to admit that the Galleria looks fantastic. He's done a really good job on the developments that he's done. And yes, maybe, are you getting me? And he was just like, and he wasn't getting me.
Yeah.
And then he didn't call.
The Grove, incredible.
The Glendale Galleria, there's free parking. Where else in Los Angeles is there free parking? I love the Galleria, and the Americana, and the Palisades. The
That trolley has been running at the Grove for 20 years, and I've only seen it stop a couple times. Once someone got a flip flop stuck in the tracks.
But see, so what we're saying is it's important to reflect on whether or not you like them, and also maybe are you talking about something that's not appropriate for a first date that maybe you should keep to yourself and shouldn't be talking about with another human man that you wish to procreate with, because people don't like talking about city planning on a first date.
That's weird.
A former Mormon did that with me, talking about study planning, and I was like, you're talking to the wrong bitch. I am asleep. I want to hear about how you had to.
You should have been talking to me.
Mormons.
I was like, I just kept asking. I was like, have you ever soaked? Like, do you wear those undergarments? Like, I realized very quickly early on that this was going. Oh, also, that's another piece of advice. If you find out that halfway through this date, this guy is boring the shit out of you, or you actually don't like him, have fun with it. Play with your food. I am all for it. Like, make the most of your time. You're out there. He's probably still going to pay for the bill if he's a man. Like,
or you can leave and make sure that he pays for the bill.
Yeah, or you can leave. You can take a page out of our soul sister Sophia's book and literally go to the bathroom and leave. And you can text him and be like, I wasn't feeling well, if he's an asshole. But anyways. I know, it's brutal, but also at the same time, like, men in their 20s, Keida's looking at us with complete disgust right now, like we're fucking animals.
Keida, I would never do that. Keida, I would never do that.
Keida, okay, what? When
I
you
would
were
just
in your
talk about
20s,
something
though,
until they left.
When you were in your 20s, like you have to admit, like you weren't the best, most evolved version of yourself, right?
No.
And you're a good guy.
And you're a good
There's a lot
guy.
of guys out there who are really awful, I will say. Like, I love men.
Look, I'm a dude.
You're a dude.
I get it.
You get it.
You get it.
I've never left someone on a date.
Like,
But I will say this. The last date I was on, she ate everything on the menu, drank
Okay, that's not okay.
5 glasses of fucking wine.
That's not
after
okay.
I told her I was
That's a
sober.
scammer.
Yeah.
And she said she was sober.
Was
Sober, past tense. And I was like, no.
you on a date with Anna Delvey?
And then so the bill was $250.
That's fucked up.
She pulled her makeup out when the bill arrived, and I was
her
like,
makeup?
Yeah, she was
To
like
what?
this,
Touch up?
ignoring the fact that the check. And I'm
You're
like,
supposed to fumble for your purse.
Yeah.
You're supposed to.
I'm
I
like,
fumble
you
for my
I always
purse.
fumble. I'm like,
the whole fucking.
my
I always fumble.
card,
That's
there's
disrespectful,
$0
though.
on
See, I would never be a proponent of that
Bring-
because I think
bring
if,
out, like,
if you
$2,
know the date
some
isn't going
coins.
well or you're not interested, first of all, even if you are interested, you should never be ordering everything on the menu. Like that's just disrespect. Unless you're literally going out with a billionaire who you know doesn't give a like money isn't even a thought in their head. Like you should not be doing that. I think that's just disrespect. Like as a woman, like also be conscious. Like we are women. Like we are human. I believe in the equity of both genders. Like
I love men.
Like-
we love men.
Yeah, Izzie and I are meninists.
Yeah.
Meninists.
but I think you also
Mennonites? No, that's different.
So I think as a woman, like, don't be disrespectful. Like, if a guy
No,
is... if
she
you-
sucks. This woman
This
sucks.
woman sucks.
Yeah.
Never go on a
Like-
date with her again. It's one thing if you go on a date and this guy's just like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and only talking about himself, and like you literally haven't said anything. That in those situations, I'm like, yeah, just fucking get up and leave. But if you're at a dinner, you're ordering everything on the menu, and
gross.
Also,
Like, why do
just
you need to
gross.
try everything
I
on the
don't like
menu?
eating in front of people. Like that makes me
What did
so
Ice
uncomfortable.
Spice say? Like, fucking vacuum?
Yeah.
Like, she was like, you fucking Hoover?
Yeah, you're just gonna like hoover everything down. Like that's just you also gotta be mindful of like who you are in that situation.
Yeah.
But to my initial point, like Keida, men in their 20s, like not the best versions of
They're horrible.
They're horrible,
Yeah.
right? So, girly pop, if you're on a date and you're dating in LA, which God help you if you are, and you're in your 20s, it's going badly, just have fun with it as much as you can. But also, if this guy's an asshole and you're not making it to a second date, no loss, right? Like, who cares?
Well, also, yeah, what I was going to say is like, this isn't a job interview where you're like,
Right.
oh, I didn't perform well enough and I didn't get,
Yeah.
like, this is like who you want to be with. If
You
it's,
also
if
never
it's right,
know.
it's right.
You also never know people's state of mind. There have been honestly,
True.
even this is something I reflected on recently too, is like the amount of times that I was on a date with someone who was perfectly lovely, smart, kind, handsome, whatever. And I was just so fucked out of my gourd on whatever was going on in my life.
It's a great
that
point.
I fumbled it. I mean, I've done that many times. And sometimes I've reached out to them, but it's also a strange thing to be so vulnerable and also make the assumption that someone's into you. But there's been a few times where I've reached out and been like, I'm very, very sorry that I fumbled that, I'm dealing with whatever. But I also don't want to, kind of overshare, but you never know what someone's going through. It sounds like a cop out, but it might not be you.
Yeah.
It might not be you. But also, like, to your point, you should always reflect on whether or not you liked them and try to get out of the ego trip of, but they didn't want me. It's like, but
It's
did
not
you
about
want them?
them. Yeah.
Did you want them? And if you didn't, then they did you a service by walking away.
What's
and
not-
if they don't want to talk about Rick Caruso, then they're lost.
Fuck 'em.
Yeah, what's not meant for me never misses me, and what misses me was never meant for me. So just keep that in mind.
Rejection is God's protection.
Exactly.
Love that.
Okay, so what's the most important quality you need from a significant other?
You got to make me laugh.
Same.
Same.
I felt like that was a softball.
You don't even have to be like a comic. Just like the way you move, the way you interact with the world has to be funny in some way.
Yep.
I will go one step
Baseline.
further though. I need you to be witty and funny because I've dated guys who have just been, I've laughed at. Issa's in the corner right now laughing hysterically because that's like 90% of the guys I've ever dated. I've just laughed at. I'm like, you fucking bumbling.
Yeah, well, you don't want to
buffoon.
date a jester.
Yeah, yeah.
Court jester.
But I so
fool.
it's
A clown.
Yeah, a clown. Yeah. So there has to be some level of like being witty, I think, for me. Like you have to make me laugh intentionally.
Yeah. I've put up, I hate to say it, but laughter is truly my weakness. Like I've dated some pretty abhorrently mean and rude men who were just so funny that I just kept going back. And it's something that trumps physicality,
Totally.
intelligence, honestly. It trumps everything.
Yeah.
I heard though also too when I was listening to this other podcast and they said that humor is actually a sign of intellect.
Yeah, that's true.
And for women, it's one of the most important things in terms of being attracted to a partner because it's a display and a inclination of intelligence is the ability to, because it's not just that you're witty, but you're reading the room, you're reading the other person, you're being observational of your surroundings and what's going on
that level of like.
And I think it also it's an inclination though of how wide your observation awareness is because you're having to, in order to be funny, you have to. There's a lot of calculation that goes into it. You know, you're natural. It's a natural gift, yes, but it's also being able to read the room and read the other person and the timing and all these other things. And so I think for women, humor is like the foundational element of being attracted to somebody.
For some women, yeah. That and loyalty.
Yeah, loyalty and
Fidelity.
Yes.
Fidelity.
Deal breaker. That
should humor.
I have one more to add for myself.
Go.
And that is you kind of do have to be obsessed with me. Like,
agreed.
I'm your muse. I'm your, like, I'm sorry.
If someone's too obsessed with me, though, there's a perfect,
range there and there.
Yeah.
But it can't be this thing where like,
I'm not chasing you.
Yeah, no.
I'm not chasing
I'm not
shit.
chasing anything.
You better be at my door with a battering ram for me to get out of my fucking house. And like you better be banging down my door, begging for me to go on a date before I will even blink fucking twice.
Yeah.
There's just no way. I'm so fucking tired. I'm so tired. I have 3 jobs. Do you not realize like when men they're like, "Oh, do you want to go out and grab a drink?" Bitch, with what time? I have 3 fucking jobs. I work a corporate job.
I have oodles.
You have oodles
of time.
This is just me ranting about men. This is like this turned into my like diatribe about
It's really
men.
fun though, honestly. I love it because it's such a funny balance of like your
I'm glad someone's laughing.
Your intensity towards men coupled with Izzie and I like, I like men.
I love men.
They're so nice.
Men are so great.
But this is also like, I think for me at least, this is post significant trauma of being in that headspace for a long time. And I'm also in a relationship with somebody, luckily, who...
You're in a healthy relationship.
Yeah. And the things he does...
Okay, humble brag.
The things he does that piss me off are almost like a sitcom way.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
like, you have so many pop-ins. There's always somebody at the house, and you need to pick this up. Like it's like
it really is a sitcom.
It truly is. It's
you guys
a
are a
sitcom.
90s sitcom.
We are a 90s sitcom, and I think for that reason, I'm not around those kind of men anymore. To be honest, I think that's part of it. I think if I was around those men, I would jump right back into the trenches with you. But I just haven't been around that sort of man in a long time. And if any of those kind of men now even approach me in a platonic sense, I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like I can't even engage.
Yeah, some guy from Pally hit me up last night and was like, "Hey, I know this is a long shot, but we went to high school together. Want to grab a drink?"
No.
Buddy, I was out of your league in high school. And
Give us a bleep. Who was it?
Some fucking think. I don't know.
He's shooting a shot.
Yeah.
Though.
He sent the same message to my girlfriend Jackie, and she messaged me after I put it on blast on fucking my close friends, and she messaged me and she goes, "He sent me the same thing 3 days ago." So
wow. What if you had both said yes? What would he have done?
That's kind of
he wouldn't
fun.
have been sending that DM in the first place if girls were saying yes.
That's true. And you're 2 of
And
how
I went to
many?
Pally too. Why didn't I get the message?
Because you were definitely, I was like, I'm the funny jokester who talks about free bleeding on the pod. Like, I'm attainable.
To him, yeah.
I mean, I don't have
sure.
a job, and I just chill and hang out. I'm in a relationship. But I still like when people shoot their shot. It's still nice for my self-esteem.
It is
Shoot your
at
shot.
Alana Cloud Robinson on Instagram if you're wondering.
Hit her with your best shot.
Hit her with your best shot. Might want to change up the language though and
Yeah.
choose a new prompt from ChatGPT because we've aired you out now. Thank you guys for joining episode 5. This flew by. I'm so happy we're back in the studio. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Please share clips. Tell your friends. Rate us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you give us a 5-star review and you write a little note, we will shout you out on the pod.
Otherwise, we're going to hire a creepy boyfriend to come into your house. And he's going to stay until you write a review.
Yeah, he's going to hide in the corner like Nosferatu. In addition to that, we have our advice. I loved doing the advice this week. That was so fun.
Yeah, this needs to be a permanent
This will be
fixture.
a
I
permanent
love that.
segment that we will do. We will do this
so
every
keep
week.
them coming. Literally send anything you want.
Anything you want.
I say that like honest and truly.
Yeah.
Anything you want, advice, comments, anything.
We
Memes.
will go through them on the pod. So it is tinyurl.com/night school advice. Completely anonymous. You can submit as many times as you want, and we will read your questions, comments, concerns on the pod. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.